Playing music with other people is one of the very best parts of learning an instrument. But if you're new to it, it can feel really intimidating and overwhelming. Like maybe you sound really good in your living room on your own playing from tab, but you know, your buddy pulls out a guitar or you walk into a jam and you just feel overwhelmed. You're not sure what to do. It feels like you're starting from scratch. And if that sounds familiar, like don't worry, we all start there, right? I totally get it. That's why in this video, we're looking at 3 simple banjo backup techniques that are going to help you get your footing and help you feel confident in those situations. All right, let's do it. Step number 1 is really to establish your safety net pattern. That is the basic bum-ditty. And look, this is so important. Everything we do on the banjo, no matter how complex it sounds, your favorite player doing the craziest thing with the banjo, it's still extending from this bum-ditty, and that's where we should start. If I'm starting to learn a song, that's where I start too. And you know what? You can stop there if you want. Like this sounds great. It's a nice banjo backup pattern. And all you're going to do is just going to do that basic bum-ditty banjo stroke. And just alternate between the 3rd and 4th strings. You play that over a chord progression. It actually sounds really nice. It's going to get your feet wet. It's going to get you playing something you don't have. So you're not going to have that feeling anymore of like, oh, everyone's looking at me. Everyone's waiting for me to play, which they're not. Don't worry. But I get how it can feel overwhelming. This is a great pattern to just start playing something, anything, get your footing, calm down, take a breath, and then continue and see if you can develop, more of a part for the song if you choose. Like I said, nothing wrong with continuing to play this pattern either. So let's look at this pattern in action. So I'm pulling up a video of an old time jam, which are excellent practice tools for this sort of thing. This comes from the Miss Moonshine Dance and More YouTube channel. Really great jams, good recordings. These are wonderful to practice along to. This is a song that I've never heard before today. I'm not actually sure what it is. There's no label on the video, but we can start to build a backup pattern for it. And if we just do that basic bum-ditty alternating between the 3rd and 4th strings with the chord progression, here's what that sounds like. And look, that pattern right there is going to give you that confidence you need. It's going to sound good, in any context. That's a good one, right? Like, don't feel like you need to be the fanciest one there playing, the craziest solos or whatever. Like, you don't. Play that basic bum-ditty rhythm. You're going to fit right in. No problem. Cool. You might be wondering, well, how do I know what chords to play? Well, there's a lot of technique around this. I'm going to give you a few simple rules of thumb. When you're talking about old-time songs, and I will say these rules kind of go out the window if you're playing something more modern, but for old-time songs, we tend to have a few nice rules of thumb. First is that the key generally is going to be D, A, or G, right? And so that's really where I'm going to start guessing. So I watched this video, and it looked like the banjo player was capoed up, and it's a fiddle forward sort of upbeat tune. So my first thinking is like, well, this might be in the key of D, right? That's pretty standard for these fiddle tunes. So what I'll do at that point is just maybe play a little scale, a little D major scale, and see how that sounds. So that would sound something like this. Like, you see how it just doesn't really gel that well with what they're playing. So chances are, if it's not D, it's going to be G or A. So let's try G. Yeah, you know what? That sounds pretty good. That would be my guess now, is I think we're probably in the key of G. I want to say too, like, we're just giving this a real cursory look here. If you want to dive further into this, I have a new workshop that is available for pre-order right now, where we really kind of dive deep into this stuff. How do you learn songs by ear? How do you survive in a jam situation? It's called Survive the Jam, Essential Skills for Clawhammer Banjo Players in Group Settings. So I will link that in the description. Check that out, pre-order it. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I think it's going to help a lot of people. So really cool. But now that we know we are in the key of G major, well, typically there are chords there are going to be G, C, and D. So I'm just going to play around with those until I have a chord progression that sounds right. You know, and there's lots of other tricks you can use in these live settings too, or even in these videos, like watching the guitar player's fingers or the banjo player, things like that, to see what they're fretting. That will give you some clues. And you don't even have to necessarily be able to recognize guitar chords, but you can recognize when they're changing the guitar chords, and that can be a great cue for you to know that you probably need a different chord. But yeah, like I said, lot of little tricks for this you can kind of pick up along the way. Check out the workshop I'm doing if you want to learn more about that. But now let's move on to some other backup patterns. So once I have the basic bum-ditty pattern going, I got that chord progression down. I'm just going to start looking for ways to fit the groove of the song a little better. Maybe just make it slightly fancier, not really fancier, but just to sort of fit in with the song a little better. And so a really simple way I might do that is to just start to throw in a few little hammer-ons on that fourth string. So something like... Let's see how something like that sounds with the video. And look, we don't know the song, like we're learning it. We don't really have a clue what's going on. We're not trying to play the melody. We're just trying to kind of fit in, blend in a little bit while we, again, gain our footing, sort of calm down those nerves a little bit and just know that we're playing something. It kind of matches what else is going on. And yeah, we're sounding pretty decent, right? And I think that just those couple little backup patterns can really help. And then when we're feeling good, we want to make our backup shine a little bit more, maybe start to pick out a little bit of the melody. A great place to start with that is just chord walkups. But essentially what a chord walkup does is you're just transitioning between one chord to another by walking up the scale. So for example, if I'm playing a D chord, and I want to go to G. So I'm starting on that D there and just walking up the major scale to the G. Do you see how that works? And that can go the other way as well. So you can go down. See how simple that is? Now, I will say that might not be like super intuitive, and definitely check out the link below. So I'm going to pop up the G major scale on the screen as well. And essentially what you're thinking is like, okay, I've got this note in my chord. If I've got a G chord, for example, my next chord is a C. So how do I get from that G to the C? Usually the root of the chord sounds really good to walk up to. And then you can just start to incorporate those into your backup playing. So let's just see what that might look like with the video. Cool. And then really often what you're going to notice as you're sort of playing with these very standard chord walkups, your little hammer-ons, that sort of thing, you're going to start hearing melody notes in your chords and in your backup playing. And at that point, that's when you really start to just incorporate little bits of the melodies, little melodic hooks, right? Just notes here and there. You're just going to gradually build that out until you're playing, the melody if you choose to, right? But here's the thing, and this is like the biggest thing I want to put forward is just, if all you're doing is playing the chord progression with the basic bum-ditty pattern, you're doing awesome, right? Like this stuff is hard, it takes practice, and it's intimidating. I think one of the biggest problems with, this situation of walking into a jam or playing with, a friend or a band situation or whatever is just like, there's so much going on. You're so overwhelmed. You feel like everyone's staring at you, which, like I said, they're not, but it can feel that way. That all that learning goes out the window. And so you might go in there knowing the, most complex, fanciest song in the world, and trust me, you're not going to remember it. And even if you remember it, you're not going to be able to play it very well. So keep things simple and gradually work your way up. Don't feel like you need to be some virtuoso to play in these settings. You don't, right? Everyone's there to have fun. You're there to have fun. Just relax, enjoy it. And hope that helps. Like I said, pre-register for the seminar, the workshop, if you're interested on surviving the jam. And I will see you next time. All right.